The marketing communicators, when they decide about choosing media, they have two type of choices. There are two major type of communication channels that they can use. They can use personal communication channels and they can use non-personal communication channels. These personal communication channels actually involves two or more people, those who are communicating directly with one another. So when people, they are interacting with one another either through face to face, when your salespersons, they go out and interact with the consumer, they make product presentations or they negotiate about product. At that time, basically, it's face-to-face interaction, and it's not just the only medium through which you can go for personal communication. Beside that, you can interact with your consumer on telephone, you can interact with them, or you can send them emails, you can send them mails through courier, and even online chat is, there are many companies those who have made these applications which have messengers where consumer can basically interact with them. They have their social media pages, they have their own blogs, they have their websites with consumer. They basically interact with the company personnel, and at times we have also seen that it's basically consumer to consumer interactions. They're also taking place when consumers, they are taking buying decision. There's something which is very important on these social media platforms, that is basically word of mouth. These word of mouth is basically whatever somebody is saying about the product may influence the reviews, the ratings. They may influence the other consumers about their product choices and response towards the product. So personal communication, it is very effective because it allows personal addressing. So it's basically when you are directly dealing with the consumer, you get the response, you get the feedback, and the control of this personal communication is basically largely lies with the company. And along with that, there are independent experts. They are basically also control this personal communication, and this word of mouth, it is basically also, it controls the personal communication. When consumers, they generate word of mouth, that basically influence other consumers. Now companies, when we are talking about these personal communication techniques, companies at times, they identify people those who are known as the opinion leader. They are people those who are within a reference group, who because of their special skills, knowledge, personality, or other characteristics exert social influence on other. So companies, they reach out these opinion leaders and they want them to talk about the product or the brand, because those people, they have expertise in that certain area. Because I can give you an example, like when you want to buy a watch, you know who's the exact right person to go and have consultancy with. Or when you want to buy a car, you know probably there may be some cousin in your family who knows everything about car engines, their speed and everything, the engine power and all those things. So you always go and seek advice from those. So these companies, they also advise those reference groups, people within the reference group, those who have those who can influence other people, those who can exert that pressure on other people to buy things, or those who can influence other people to buy those things. Then we have this buzz marketing. It involves cultivating opinion leaders and getting them to spread information about a product or service to other in the community. So buzzword or the buzz marketing is like everybody is talking about the product, and it creates a hype because the people, those are influential, they are talking about and the product or the service. Now let's talk about the non-personal communication. Non-personal communication is a communication in which media that carry message without personal contact or feedback, including major media. So it's like people-to-people interaction is not there. Rather, there's a media through which the message is transmitted to the consumers. And so it's talk about major media atmospherics or atmospheres. So it's talking about the environment. See, what we need to understand the environment in which the service is being delivered or in which the product is being displayed. They are also communicating something to the consumer. They are also communicating message to the consumer about the quality, about the brand image, and about many other things. For example, there's a company which is known as the British India Company, and this company is basically they're selling tropical clothing, and they are talking about the colonial Raj era. So whatever they're selling is basically themed on that East and West fusion in dressing, And along with that, the atmospheric or the environment, the lighting, the music, everything in the store was basically of that colonial Raj era of British India. So these atmospherics, they are also communicating something to the consumer. And then events that affect buyers directly. So all these things, all these means are used for the non-personal communication to the non-personal communication with the consumer. Now, in non-personal communication channel, the major media include print, broadcast, display, and online media. So all of us know that companies, they have these advertising agencies, those who draft and then broadcast these print and other messages online and offline. Now, atmospheres are design environments that create or reinforce the buyer's learning towards buying a product. So it basically helps companies to project their image, and it helps them to create an environment or atmospheric. There are many elements in the atmosphere, this atmospheres. What we need to understand is when you enter into a restaurant, everything matters: the interior, the placement, the layout, the spacing between the objects, the aesthetics, the aroma, and the aura of the place, the colors those who are used there, the lightning, its effect. So everything is contributing. Like when we talk about service industry specifically, the service quality is something that we are always talking about. But so if the restaurant is not hygienic, there's a smell coming, or if it's not pleasant environment, you'll never feel good about it. So these elements in the atmosphere or in the atmosphere environment, they are also contributing towards creating a larger impact. They're also communicating something to the consumer. So messages can be communicated through creating environments. Now, events, they are staged occurrences that communicate message to the target audience. So we know companies, they go out for having press conferences, they arrange their grand openings, they become the part of exhibitions, or they conduct these exhibitions, or they sponsor these exhibitions. And then there are public tours that they arrange within their, either it's a factory, chocolate factory, so yeah, they'll let the customers take a tour in the factory. So all these things basically communicate messages to the target audiences. Now after that, once we have decided the media channel, and once we have come up with the message content, message structure, and message format, the companies, they go for selecting the message source. So we need to understand that the message impact on the target audience is affected by how the audience views the communicator. So we need to understand, when companies, they go for brand endorsement by celebrities, there is a reason to it, because these celebrities, they have larger impact on the audience. There's a huge fan following. People, they trust their word. They're looking towards them as they are their role models, they are their ideals. They follow them blindly. So these communicators are very effective. Either they are celebrities. We have seen in many advertisements of sports where athletes, they are basically endorsing these brands, and in many cases these entertainers or celebrities, they endorse these brands. And we also know that there are certain product categories, like if you're talking about something medicated, so if a healthcare provider or a healthcare professional is endorsing that, so that will basically increase the weight of the message, and it will be taken more seriously by the target audience. So this basically, the person who's communicating the message, that is very important. How they look like, what image, their personality, their physical outlook that is projecting, that is extremely important, and it creates a lot of impression on the consumer perceptions regarding brand quality, regarding brand prestige. So all these things are very important. Whenever we are designing advertisements, we have to look into the nitty-gritty of everything. We must understand which professional fits best to endorse our brand, or which celebrity exactly can project the brand image that we really want to create. So companies, they also collect feedback. So it involves the communicator understanding the effect of target audience by measuring behaviors resulting from the behavior. So yeah, what is important, what that we need to understand, that this feedback is very important. We are doing such an exercise, we are creating an entire message, we are projecting it. So we need to understand that, is it really worth it? What objectives we have previously set, what we wanted to accomplish from it. That is extremely important to understand, that the success of any advertising campaign is basically can be measured by the behaviors that are generated through these advertisements. If consumers, they are actually taking action, they are have their perception has been changed from negative to positive towards the product, or if they are actually going out in the market and they are preferring the product over other product, or whatever was the company's entire initial objective, like if they wanted to inform the consumer, are they really aware about the product right now? Do they have sufficient information about the product? Do they have knowledge about the product? Are they really ready to buy the product? So all these are basically reflect the behavior of the consumers, the change in the perception, the change in their attitudes, and then the action in terms of buying the product, in terms of having a positive behavior towards the product. Now, companies after that, they set their promotional budgets. So here we need to understand that the total promotion budget, there are different ways and different means through which companies, they set up these budgets, and we look into them one by one. So one of the hardest decisions that companies take place is like how much they should spend on their promotions or advertising or the entire promotion mix. So it is a very difficult decision. And John Wanamaker, he once said that I know that half of my advertising budget gets wasted, but I don't know which half of it. So now there are four different ways through which companies commonly go about setting up their budgets. Number one is affordable budget. So companies, despite taking into account anything, what is their prime objective of advertising or promotion mix, or what sales they want to incur, they don't have anything in their mind. They just set up their budget for this promotion that is affordable for the company. So it's affordable budget method sets the budget to an affordable level. So it definitely ignores the effect of promotion on sales. So they're not looking for the relationship between the promotions that company is making and the sales that are generated through these promotions. So second, we have basically percentage of sales method. So it's also, as the name specifies, it's about like it sets the budget at a certain percentage of current or forecasted sale or unit sale price. So it's easy. Company, it has set a proportion, it has set a ratio, so it's easy to use and helps management think about the relationship between promotion, selling price, and profit per unit. So they have already set up the margin, like this much amount per every unit that is being sold is going to be the promotional budget. So it's wrongly views sales as the cost rather than result of the promotion. So it's basically talking about the reverse relationship. It seems like as many sales as you are going to have, your budget is going to like increase with these sales, increase in sales. So it's basically opposite way that it is being considered. Now it's competitive parity method. It's a very easy method in which companies, they set the budget to match the competitors' outlet. They look into the industry, what are the trends, how much industry is spending on the promotion, what is their standard spending, and they basically represent whatever the industry is doing, whatever the pattern or the trend is being followed in the industry, how much the competitors are spending, whatever is the benchmark in the industry, they just follow it. So they represent the industry standards, and they avoid the promotion wars. And the prime purpose is not to go into promotion wars, because we have seen in all those industries where this promotion war basically starts, what happens that the margins are really cut down, the profit margins are really cut down. and at times it's very difficult for the companies to survive in that kind of a competition. Then we have this objective and task method, which seems a very objective and a very rational way of going about for this setting up the budgets. So objective and task method sets the budget based on what the firm wants to accomplish with promotion and includes defining promotion objectives, determining tasks to achieve the objective, and estimating cost. So this one has an entire very rational and very logical way of going about setting up the budget for the promotions. The company, first of all, they decide what are their promotion objectives, what they want to accomplish from this entire exercise, and then they determine how they are going to achieve these targets, like what, through which means, either through print advertisement or through broadcast advertisement or social media advertisement. So they determine that course of strategy, they determine the task that should be done to achieve those objectives, and then they estimate the cost for every task that need to be performed. So this is kind of a very rational way of setting up and a very logical way of setting up the promotional budget. So let's look into the nature of advertising. Advertising, I think it's one of the most creative promotional tools that companies they use. We know that we have a lot of offline and online ways of doing advertising. I've seen firms that they have advertised their name, they've endorsed their name on benches in the park, or we have seen advertising at very rare places. So what we need to understand that it is something which basically provides a scope to test the creative ability of the company, and it basically provides them a platform where they can dramatize their advertisements. And advertising is actually a means of reaching to geographically dispersed masses, consumer masses. So because it is reaching to a very large audience, therefore it has low cost per exposure, and once an advertisement is being crafted or drafted, it can be used over and over again by the company many a times. And advertising has a little shortcoming because it does not have that touch of personal communication that we basically see in personal selling, or when companies they go for direct marketing or personal selling. Now let's look into the personal selling. So I think personal selling, especially in case of business to business marketing and otherwise, I think it is one of the most effective method at certain stages of buying process, particularly in building buyers preferences, convictions, actions, and developing customer relationship. I think it is more powerful, and because it has this personal communication, in which companies they can basically alter their message according to the audience that they are targeting. So they have the scope of altering their message according to need of the person they are actually talking at that time. They understand who is sitting in front of them, what is their educational level, what is their background, how much expertise they have related to the product that they are selling to them. See, because the sales force, they do a lot of homework. They try to understand the prospect, how they should approach the prospect, what is the personality of the prospect. They even look into such an integrity that they even look into their office spaces, and they have different sales techniques. So keeping in view who's their target audience, they have the scope of, like, they can alter the product as per the requirement of the person that they are having communication with, and they can go for negotiation. If a company is buying in bulk, they can even reduce their price. So here what we need to understand, because why it is most effective method, because it basically helps you to understand the consumer, and the more you understand your target audience, the more you can alter their preferences, you can build conviction in them, you can change their actions, and it's a good way of developing long-term customer relationship. It's like it has more personal touch. And now let's talk about the sales promotion. Now, sale promotions is like, I've seen many companies when they've launched their companies, or when they launch their businesses, like to attract the store traffic, they go for these kind of sales promotions. Like, it's a very in a very short time you can attract a large number of people, and these sales promotions, it include coupons, contests, cents off deals and premiums, that attract consumer attention and offer strong incentive to purchase and can be used to dramatize product offers and to be boost sagging sales. So what we need to understand here comes a very quick way of clearing your shelves. We have seen clearance sales, we have seen off-season sales, and we have also seen sales at particular events or on specific days. So these sales promotions like buy one get one free or having 20% free product in the package, all these things are sales promotions. And finally, we need to understand that these sale promotions are very short lived and they may not be as effective as advertising and personal selling. So now let's look into the public relationing or the public relations. It is actually a very believable form of promotion that includes news stories, features, sponsorships, and events. We have seen there are many brands which are mostly in news. There are different stories that are coming on different forums regarding them. There are different editorials that are written about them. These companies, they sponsor different events, and so these companies, they create they build these public relations, or they build these relations, long-term relationships, and they project their image via all these techniques. And this public relationing basically creates a brand image which is something beyond than regular exercise that companies they are doing. And we have seen that if any we see any press release or any news about Facebook, Google, or Reliance, any company, it's something very different than what advertising is doing. So a brand who's in news, a brand who's sponsoring different events, a brand is coming up with different campaigns for the society, they have a very different image than the traditional companies what they are doing. Now let's look into the direct and digital marketing. So we need to understand that the many forms of direct digital marketing. We have direct mail, we have catalogs, we have telemarketing or telephone marketing, we have online marketing, we have mobile marketing, we have social media marketing, and all share some distinct characteristics. So all of these have different characteristics. Direct marketing, it is more targeted, it is usually directed to a specific consumer or customer community. And what we also need to understand, that direct marketing is immediate and it's personalized, so we can change message can be quickly prepared and it can be altered in real time, and it can be tailored to appeal a dialogue between the company team and the consumer. And these messages can be basically altered according to the consumer response. So it is something which gives us scope to alter message as per the specific need of the consumer, as per the specific understanding of the consumer. So it is basically kind of like creating more customer engagement and building one-to-one customer relationship with the customers. Now let's look into the let's sum up. The company must take steps to see each promotion mix element is smoothly integrated. Here what we need to understand, that company is not following just one promotional tool. They are opting different promotional tools. So all these promotional tools must be smoothly integrated, and the various promotion elements should work together to carry the firm's unique brand message and selling points. So there should be consistency, no conflict among the message that is being drafted and being projected on different mediums. So it's about coming up a more integrated marketing communication strategy. Now let's look into this push and pull strategy. This concept is something which is very much used in marketing, and here what we need to understand, that the push strategy is basically, it's actually a promotion strategy that calls for using the sales force and trade promotion to push the product through channel. The producer promotes the product to channel members, who in turn promote it to the final consumer. So the chain like starts from the producer. The producer basically makes a sale effort. They try to sell their product to the retailers and the wholesalers. They do personal selling, they do trade promotions and others, and they convince their basically retailers. They push the product to the retailers, and what happens then, these retailers and the wholesalers, they further push the product to the consumer. So these resellers, they go ahead with different marketing activities like personal selling, advertising, sales promotions and other, and sell the product to the consumer. Now, when we look at the pull strategy, it seems reversed in order. It's a promotion strategy that calls for spending a lot on consumer advertising and promotion to induce final consumers to buy the product, creating a demand vacuum that pulls the product through the channel. So here what we need to understand, that producers, they are going to go for advertising, and through that advertising the final consumers are going to be pulled towards the product. And this is basically an activity in which, here we need to understand that producers, they go for advertising, sales, promotion, direct and digital media and other. They use all these means, and then through these advertisements they create the demand and vacuum. So that vacuum basically pulls the product through the channel, so it creates a need among the consumer, and then the consumer, they demand the product from the retailers and wholesalers, and the retailers and the wholesalers demand the product from the producers. So it's like opposite to what is being like in the push strategy. Now let's look into the socially responsible marketing communication. Companies, they should be socially responsible, they should be ethically and morally sound, and whatever promotion activity they are doing or whatever promotional tools they are using, they need to be very fair with the consumer, they need to be very honest. They should not go for deceptive or false advertising. They should not claim something which is not the part of the product ingredient, or which is not the part of the product. So they must avoid this bait and switch advertising. They should not use advertising as a means of just capturing consumers. So whatever their claims they are making about the product, its performance, its ingredients, they should be clearly mentioned. Many times what companies they do, when they are basically mentioning the calorie count of the product, they basically uh, they become very unfair in mentioning the actual serving size. And so there are many things that need to be taken into account, and companies, they must conform to all the federal, state and local regulations. So there are clearly defined laws, like regulations, which companies they need to follow. It's like companies, they should not advertise to kids, they should not advertise unhealthy products, junk foods and all those things. They should not use females in advertisements as a sex object. So there are many things. The advertisement should not be a threat to any cultural value or any societal value. So like there are so many things, there are many things that companies, they need to follow when they are going for advertising and sales promotion. Now let's talk about personal selling. They must follow rules of fair competition, and they do not offer bribes. So it's like it's been many a times witnessed in personal selling that people, they are being bribed. The sales agent, when they are talking to a company representative, when they are making sales effort, they bribe those people on commission, that they'll be getting the part of the commission, so they should buy the company's product. So, and there are many other things like gifts and all those things. So do not attempt to obtain competitors' trade secrets, and that is like something which talks about the integrity of the salesperson. So they should not push their customers to give them information about the competitors, or they should not keep on inquiring about their trade secrets, and do not disparage competitors on their or their product. So they should not create a bad image about the competitors or their products. So companies, when they are basically going for either advertising, sales promotion and personal selling, whatever they are doing, basically they need to be ethically, morally sound and just. So now with this, I'm going to end this chapter and hope to see you next week. Allah Hafiz.